Today we're going to be focusing on the installation of CAN Lambda, which if you don't know is their wideband. There's a few reasons why we're super stoked about having this thing on my STI. The main reason being that the factory wideband on the EJ platform isn't super accurate below 11.5 to 1. So this should give us a better idea of the airfield ratio on and off the dyno, as well as just give us more resolution. Now this video is going to be the last video, more than likely, before you guys start seeing the initial calibration process, the tuning process, as well as all the fun features later down the road, like anti-lag, rotational idle, etc., etc. Now, we have a bunch of stuff still left to do. We're gonna try to knock that out, so let's just get this video started. This is a very important cable. This is going to be your CAN JST4 cable. Now, this has a DTM connector that's going to plug into this end of your CAN module here. And then this end is a 4-pin connector that goes directly into your Link G4X circuit board at the very end there. This connector does 4 things. First, it establishes a power source, which is going to get 12-volt voltage. It's going to get a ground, and then it's going to get CAN high and CAN low in order to communicate data to the ECU/car. Then interfacing with this module at this end, you're going to have their wideband, which is going to be a Bosch LSU 4.9 sensor. This wideband should be placed somewhere between 12 and 18 inches after your turbo. You can see on my downpipe I have an established connection, so that's all good there. So when I do my widebands, I always tighten them by hand, making sure I don't cross thread any of the threads that are in the downpipe. What I like to do is grab an O2 sensor socket like this one. I got an AutoZone, and then I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a turn, a quarter turn, and that thing should be good. We're finally putting the G4X into the factory housing, and to do so, it's gonna be very, very straightforward. And again, I had to wait to do this because we still needed to establish our connection for the wideband. So you're gonna take your factory housing, which you're gonna make a secondary hole for. Mine is gonna be here. The first one I made in the previous video is gonna be there, just so you guys know. You're gonna grab this end of the JST4 connection. You're gonna slide it through. Gonna feed it through the front, grab the other end, and then it's gonna go directly into the G4X here. Boom, done. And now you're gonna grab this end here. You're gonna go straight back, right through there. Now you have both connections, and then you're gonna take the ECU carefully and just simply slide it in place. You see how it's going in with no resistance? That's exactly what you guys need to do. Make sure it's all the way in, it's secured, it's not going anywhere, and make sure you have established connections still and you're not pinching any cables. Hopefully this works, but I'm going to cut into the grommet now, and this should give us an idea of how much we have to play with as far as cable goes. You see that slit of light piercing through the other end? Yeah, right there towards the middle of your screen. That's exactly the cut we just made, and it looks like that's going to be enough room for us to get that cable through and establish our connection for the ECU right here in the factory location. All right, fellas, check this out. We finally have our G4X inside the car mounted, as well as our driver control center differential box, which is the silver box here. I just mounted the DCCD box to this harness via zip tie there and there in the event we ever need to mess with it. And then we have our G4X in the factory housing zip tied to this bracket here via this cable and this harness up here. It's not going anywhere. And on top of that, it's actually supported completely by the bulk harness down here, the connections that actually go to the ECU. And one thing to note about these 4 connections we removed from the factory ECU that go into the G4X, they actually do not go in the same order as we've removed them. They actually go in different orientations, which I will quickly just mention. You will be easily able to find that out because each of those connections only go to one place. Now let's go back to the engine bay where I can show you guys what the game plan is for the rest of the video and what we still need to knock out. Here's the JST4 connection that is currently plugged into the ECU behind the firewall, and then there is the Lambda module. Ideally, it's gonna move a little bit closer this way. As far as the map sensor goes, I've already given it some thought. I'm gonna locate it right above the pitch stop here in this mounting location. I already purchased some hardware for it. Now I'm going to ideally create some type of circuit, air quote on circuit, that's going to plumb the vacuum source from the map sensor, intake manifold, and the fuel pressure regulator. We've already got the okay per instruction to do that. They do mention, do not plumb the map source to a boost gauge or a blow-off valve. So we're not gonna be doing that in this video. We're pretty much all done. There is one last thing I still need to do, which will not happen in this video just because it's super simple. I just don't have the vacuum hose for it. But let me show you guys what the engine bay looks like and let me know what you guys think. And this is what we have so far. We have the Lambda module zip tied to the power steering lines. I know, guys, not what I wanted. It's close to the turbo, I know, but it's a temporary fix until I get a DTM connection kit, make an extension for this and put this over here away from heat. But for now, for initial startup stuff, this is temporarily just okay. Now for the map sensor here, this is the place I was telling you guys about. I ended up using the hole next to it. I just used an M5 bolt, washer, and nut to secure it. It's not going anywhere. This is the problem I was mentioning. I do not have, per instruction, a 3/16 vacuum line, and this is going to be my vacuum source for it right here. This end goes to my fuel pressure regulator, and then the other end here goes to the bottom of my intake manifold. So that means it is properly going to be routed and everything is good there. And that's pretty much the entire configuration for the Link 4-bar map sensor, the Lambda for the wideband, and the Link ECU in the glove box. There's obviously things I still need to get done, like put my charge pipe back, put the throttle body back together, back on the car, but that is going to be a separate video. The next video you guys should see after this is going to be Sean and I sitting in the car. He's probably going to walk us through the steps on how to configure a Link G4X on a Subaru STI. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, make sure you guys subscribe, like this video if you found it informative, helpful, and we will see you guys in the next Link G4X video.